So it's 6 o'clock here. I'm in my pajamas, sitting at the desk. Haven't been able to sleep really well all last night. And, I'll tell you the reason why I haven't been able to sleep because I've had a question on my mind for the last few days that's just been growing and growing until I haven't been able to ignore it for any longer. It's grown to the point that this past night when I went to sleep, my head hit the pillow, and then the next thing I know, an hour later, I've woken up with chest pains. I'm having heart palpitations as a result of this gnawing sensation of of the unknown, of a question that I just cannot decipher the answer to. And you'll be wondering, what the hell could possibly be bothering you so much that you would have heart palpitations in the middle of the night that would keep you from falling asleep again? Well, I'll tell you. If you were to ask me 10 days ago whom I thought from the Pistons starting five from their last championship run was most likely to get busted for working with the mafia on a gambling ring, I would not have chosen fucking Chauncey Billups.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Now, fans of the show will know that I, myself, am a fan of the Detroit Pistons. I grew up watching Chauncey Billups, okay? I grew up idolizing Chauncey Billups. Those guys were my guys, and Chauncey was the top guy, okay? Every single time you would turn on the TV to watch the Pistons, you would be inundated with stories about how good of a leader he was and how he leads by example. And this is the guy who serves as like the moral bedrock of your franchise. So lo and behold, some 20 years later, as a grown adult, I come to find that he's not that guy.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
And you know what? I don't want to believe it. I don't want to throw one of my own under the bus. He's my guy. You understand that, right? It's tough for me to actually go along with what is being charged. I know, innocent until guilty. It doesn't look good for him if the feds are knocking on his door like this.
FBI, open up!
But I'm still, not in the same camp as everybody else where they're saying, like, oh, this guy is definitely guilty and, he's gonna go away for a long time. That's not it, bro. That's not me. I'm Team Chauncey till I die. And on top of that, the fucking sheer audacity of the FBI director to come out here and say that
This is the biggest bust in sports history.
as if Chauncey were some sort of common garden variety Donaghy. How dare he? How dare he talk about Chauncey like that? That is unacceptable behavior. And the sheer fact that he thinks that this is the biggest bust in sports history tells me that not only he's incompetent, which I already knew before, but also that he didn't lead up this investigation and that he doesn't know anything about sports. Because if he knew about sports, he would look straight at Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs, and the NFL and the refs, the goddamn refs, as prime suspects for the biggest bust in sports history. Because if you have even a rudimentary understanding of sports, if you have fucking eyes in your head and you point them at a screen that is playing NFL football while the Kansas City Chiefs are playing, you'd understand that all their shit is rigged. If you are a Lions fan and you've experienced any Lions game in the last 10 years, you know that shit is rigged against you 100%. I mean, if you were to watch the Chiefs play the Lions a few weeks back, you know that this shit is rigged. Everybody is saying that this is rigged. So why is he not investigating this shit, huh? God forbid, God forbid I get any sort of power in this country, because if I do, Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs are going straight to the re-education camps. You remember last time on the show that I said that we're sending the boomers to the re-education camps? Well, guess what? The Kansas City Chiefs are joining them. And on top of that, Get this fucking FBI director out of here. This guy's a tool. This guy's a moron. He's pumping this shit up. He's going on TV and saying that this is the biggest bust ever and this is what we should be paying attention to, when we know damn well he's hiding the Epstein files. Fuck off. I wish that the California governor gave him his CDL so he can go terrorize people on the highway behind the wheel of an 18-wheeler instead of destroying sports as we know it. I really don't think this is that big of a crime that we need to go throwing Chauncey in a federal penitentiary, to be honest. Especially when compared to the Epstein files that are being covered up actively right now. Okay? All he did was scam some millionaires who had the money for a buy-in. Boo-hoo! Boo-hoo! So what? So what? Okay? Oh, he cooperated. He worked with Cosa Nostra to scam some people with some X-ray tables. They're smart. That's smart. You know what? The shit they probably got in Vegas is 10 times worse than that. Go investigate that shit. What are you investigating Chauncey for?
Fake Juan ain't do nothing. All he did was rob the gas station. Y'all acting like he robbed Walmart or something. Release my nigga. Release my nigga.
And yes, this is absolutely Detroit sports favoritism, okay? Going back to the thing about me having any sort of power in this country, if I was the president or the FBI director and tomorrow we found out that Cade Cunningham has 50 bodies buried in his backyard, he'd be playing the next fucking day, okay? If we found out that Dan Campbell went on a killing spree in the middle of Detroit in 4K, caught in live television, he'd be coaching that Sunday, okay? I'm ride or die. I don't give a shit, okay? Detroit sports have gone through enough, alright? If Aaron Hernandez was on the Lions and he did that shit, I'd give him a full pardon, okay? Alright, I gotta take a sip to calm down. So on a serious note, this is like a huge deal for the NBA. And for sports at large, to be honest, ever since they legalized sports betting, it's been an avalanche. And, you know, if you had any sort of brain, you'd know that this was coming, right? They were just itching for a new revenue stream, the leagues and all of the media companies, to be honest. So when this was legalized pretty much across the board, I mean, there's no way that you could see this and not imagine there being a conflict of interest. The look is so bad, especially with all of these companies having their own sports betting sites, that when ESPN broke the news, they literally blacked out. They blanked out the ticker on the bottom that showed the ad for the ESPN Bet app. That's how bad it was. Even the guy who was commentating at the time, who broke the story, I think it was Greeny, he said that this looks bad because they advertise gambling on their site. But also, we don't condone this behavior. Fuck out of here. Fans have been saying it for a long time. Definitely since sports gambling was legalized, and definitely before. I mean, if you're a Lions fan, hate to beat on a dead drum, but you kind of get what I'm saying, right? There's so many bullshit calls that go against us. I'm sure if you're like a Cleveland Browns fan, you know too. All the shitty teams, they're not getting any calls. It's just the way it goes. But it's worse when you have sports gambling in the mix. And now all of a sudden, you got people without any sort of corroboration making the claim that Vegas made the call mid-game. And it definitely looks that way when you go watch how the calls are being made in real time. It really does call into question the validity of every single sports outcome that's happened since like 2015, maybe even before. On the other hand, how come our politicians get to do the same thing with stocks, in principle, with stocks, but athletes can't do the same themselves? Food for thought. So that's gonna be it for today, guys. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget, fuck this little Indian man. Some bullshit.